Namaskar. Good afternoon to everyone. As you know, there is the ongoing visit of the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. We have had discussions and meetings between the two Prime Ministers, as you are aware. To brief you on that, we have with us Foreign Secretary, our High Commissioner in Dhaka, and of course Joint Secretary Bangladesh and Myanmar. I would request Foreign Secretary to make a few opening remarks, and then we will have questions from the floor as much as we can. I think we need to finish this interaction in about half an hour. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon. This briefing is actually taking place when a visit is still in progress. So please bear with me that I'd largely focus on what has already happened. The Prime Minister of Bangladesh arrived yesterday on a visit, and yesterday the External Affairs Minister called on her as is customary, and this morning she had, of course, the ceremonial welcome at Rashtrapati Bhavan, and then she had talks with the Prime Minister, followed by a lunch. And we have just come from a very moving ceremony which was held at the Manekshaw Center, where the Bangladesh Prime Minister honored seven Indian soldiers who sacrificed their lives during the Bangladesh war. What I would like to do is very briefly run you through the key developments and outcomes, and I'd be happy to take questions after that. Before I actually get to the specifics, let me just highlight that in many ways for India, this is an exceptional relationship, and in fact, when we are just cleaning up the joint statement, it should be out very soon. I think the word which we have used there is fraternal friendship. And I say it's a very unique relationship because, I mean, all of you are familiar with the history of this relationship, with the close bonds that we have with Bangladesh, and also appreciative of the progress that we have made in recent years in many ways. I want to set this relationship itself in a context. We have in this government spoken of neighborhood first policy, which is an expression used to underline the priority and the importance we give to neighboring country relationships. But I think if there is one example of where the neighborhood first has actually yielded good results on both sides, it is the case with Bangladesh, and we approach this relationship in many ways, and this is a point which Prime Minister just made in the speech from the ceremony that I'm coming from, that today India feels that our progress, our prosperity should be shared with our neighbors. And it is that sense of common purpose, of shared purpose, which actually drives our relationship with the immediate neighborhood. In the case of Bangladesh, of course, there are some other very unique factors, a lot of it from the location and some of it from the history. Now, I mentioned to you the ceremony which was held at the Manekshaw Center. Earlier today, after the conclusion of the talks, at the time when Prime Minister was making the Prime Ministers were making the press statement, you would have seen that our Prime Minister, along with his Bangladeshi counterpart, released the Hindi translation of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's unfinished memoirs. They also unveiled the naming of a street in his honor. What was Park Street today would be Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib Street. And I think these, again, many of you would have noted yesterday that Prime Minister went well beyond protocol requirements in personally receiving the Bangladesh Prime Minister at the airport. I think all these in many ways testify to the point I'm making about it being a very special relationship. In terms of the talks today, there was a one-on-one between the two prime ministers, followed by delegation-level talks. I think together it was about an hour and a half, and of course then they had lunch together. A lot of it obviously went into the assessing where the bilateral relationship is at this time, and I think both of them were very satisfied with the progress that we had made. And you will find that expressed when you see the outcome document, where we are really genuinely appreciative of the socio-economic development in Bangladesh under Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's leadership. We also are very admiring of her consistent efforts to combat terrorism. And I think again I would urge you to look at Prime Minister's speech at the Manekshaw Center event, where he spoke on both these issues at some length. Now, essentially, in this visit, we have concluded 22 agreements covering a number of spheres in the area of development, cooperation, and trade. We have 9 agreements in high technology and science and technology, space, nuclear. We have 4 agreements. There are, I think, 5 defense agreements or 6? 5. 5 defense agreements, as well as some agreements pertaining to people-to-people contacts, media, etc. More than the agreements themselves, I think we have taken some very practical, concrete steps and gestures which take the relationship forward. Again, some of it was covered in the Prime Minister's statement, press statement. Some of it was covered in his Manekshaw Center speech. We announced measures which specifically focused on the welfare of the Mukti Jodhas in Bangladesh, easier visas for 5-year visas for them, greater support, educational opportunities for their children. And in terms of some of the people-to-people measures that we have used the opportunity of the visit to look at, it is to make medical visas more liberal for Bangladeshis. In the past, they could come for treatment but not for diagnosis, so we've sort of liberalized that. We made it easier for movement of Bangladeshis in terms of port, people who come on ships and also on inland waterways. So shore leave issues, which port do they enter, they don't have to go back by the same port. Overall, the visa situation has been liberalized greatly, and I think High Commissioner actually deserves a lot of credit for the fact that today we essentially have a walk-in situation in Bangladesh where visas is concerned, which was not the case earlier. Some of the other developments I think you would have seen in terms of the flagging off of 2 trains today and a bus, the Calcutta-Khulna Dhaka bus, as well as the Calcutta-Khulna train, right? And also there was a rake which was carrying fuel to Parvatipur. So again, this both sort of underline the movement between India and Bangladesh, as well as the connectivity, the economic content of that. And we were very appreciative that the Chief Minister of West Bengal was gracious enough to join today in the flagging offs, as well as for the lunch which the Prime Minister hosted for his Bangladeshi counterpart. In addition to these, I think we have used this occasion to expand a lot of scholarships and training that we do with Bangladesh. In the past, we have trained Bangladeshi civil servants, almost 1,500. I think roughly about 1,200 have been done. We are now looking at the possibility of training judicial officials as well. And we found that the training we have done in the past, the training of DCs of Bangladesh in India, that this has been actually a very good mechanism to build closer cooperation between the two countries. Now, other than the agreements and the training connectivity issues that I mentioned, I want to draw your particular attention to the lines of credit that we have announced. We had earlier 2 lines of credit to Bangladesh, the first one for $862 million, the second one for $2 billion, which was when PM had gone to Dhaka. The first one, the projects I think are coming along. The second one, the work has been done so that the projects have been identified and actually progressed to various levels. This time around, the line of credit is for the amount of $4.5 billion. It is the largest, or perhaps among the largest, lines of credit we've done for a single country on a bilateral occasion. I mean, in many ways, since there is today a lot of emphasis on faster delivery of projects by MEA, what we have done is already started to identify projects which both sides can state would be the ones we'll do under the third LOC. And they are really quite an impressive list. They include 2 ports, the Paira Port Multipurpose Terminal, as well as the dry dock in Chittagong. It includes and the upgradation of Mangla Port, actually 3 of them. 4-laning of many roads, upgradation of an airport, new transmission lines, new railway lines. So a lot of new infrastructure commitments that we are taking to Bangladesh. These are 17 projects which have been identified as utilizing the third LOC. Again, the message of that is really that India is a very positive, very effective development assistance program. It's in our interest that, again, connectivity, infrastructure at the border, beyond the border, in our neighboring countries grow. I think these are really true win-win situations for us. Some of the issues which the non-economic, non-development issues which did come up for discussion in broad terms were issues related obviously to the region, and as you know, Bangladesh has also been facing the challenge of terrorism. That's something which found mention in different ways, both publicly and in the discussions, and again you will see in the joint statement that we have really very strong common positions on it. So overall, I would sum it up as really an exceptionally strong visit, of course still in the making. The Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina would be meeting the Vice President immediately after my briefing and calling on the President tomorrow. She also has a business meet here on the 10th. And again, I should tell you that we expect a lot of business agreements, actually running to billions of dollars to be concluded during the visit. And we see that today as reflecting the climate of confidence which Indian business is responding to in Bangladesh, which wasn't always the situation in the past. So as I said, a very good visit, a very strong visit, still in the making. In many ways, I think the chemistry between the leaders was very visible on the television screen and on the platforms that they shared. A very strong meeting of minds and a very robust agenda of where we are going. I think we have a lot on our plate, and clearly both of us attach an enormous amount of importance to this visit in terms of really creating an agenda which takes the relationship to a new level. So once again, thank you very much. I don't know, High Commissioner, if you'd like to add something more at this stage. Okay, all right.
Thank you very much, sir. The floor is now open for questions. Yeah, Manish.
Foreign Secretary, one of the major takeaway from this visit is the upgradation of defense relations. This is probably the first time India has given a defense-focused line of credit to a neighboring country. Could you just give details of, the strategic and defense cooperation which are envisaged in these 5 agreements? Thank you.
We actually have 5 agreements in defense. One is a framework cooperation agreement. One is a defense line of credit for the amount of $500 million. 2 of them relate to exchanges, I think, between relating to the NDC and the Defense Services Staff College, and the 5th one is what, cyber security? For the the last one is the Coast Guard one. Now, I think it's an interesting question you raised, because actually, if you look at it, we on the ground and in the waters and in the sky, we actually have fairly extensive defense cooperation with Bangladesh. I mean, we've just, for example, had the Army Chief come back from a visit. The Defense Minister, our Defense Minister, was there a few months ago. And we've had, I myself seen in the last 2 years a number of Bangladeshi service commanders visit us. For some reason, we haven't actually disciplined it into a framework. And to my mind, it's actually a lacuna waiting to be corrected, because if you see our relationship with all the other neighbors, Sri Lanka, Maldives, or Nepal, Bhutan, or Myanmar, even Afghanistan, with all these countries, we do have a defense contact. Even with China, we have a defense framework agreement, we have a defense cooperation agreement. Obviously, you will have a LOC only with countries with whom you expect to do procurement. But again, we have it with a lot of our other neighbors. So, to my mind, this was something, frankly, which was, I suppose, going to happen at some point of time. Clearly, the confidence levels are high that, things have gone well for this relationship in the last few years and months. So, it seems a very opportune time to go forward.
Second row.
Sir, this is Ritu Sharma from the New Indian Express. There has been some professing of fraternal love between the 2 countries. So my question is, do you think that this template of good relationship with erstwhile East Pakistan could serve as a message for India's relationship with the West Pakistan then?
Well, I would say fraternal, you use the word fraternal love, I use the word fraternal relationship. But I think by asking that question that clearly our relationship with the erstwhile East Pakistan is quite different from the relationship with the erstwhile West Pakistan. But if you ask me, are there lessons of one which can be carried over to the other? I would say, quite frankly, yes. I think today the benefits of cooperation, the benefits of connectivity, the benefits of trade, the benefits of cooperation against terrorism, which was a threat to both India and Bangladesh. I think those lessons are out there. Now it's up to others to pick up those lessons and decide which ones of them they're going to use.
Akhilesh?
So when we think about Bangladesh, the first thing that comes to our mind is the illegal migration and general visa problem between the 2 countries. So had there been any talk in this meeting about these 2 issues?
Well, I think there was quite a lot of discussion on the legal movement of people, and clearly, it's our interest to make the legal movement more effective and accountable, so that there's less illegal movement. Clearly, we have a policy in regard to illegal movement of any, I wouldn't pick a particular country in that regard, but I would say on an occasion like this, when there are government to government discussions, obviously the focus is on how to promote legal movement of people.
So about legal movement, my second question was that about general visa problem is persisting.
I did, in my opening remarks, underline the fact that actually the visa situation is improved enormously. I mean, if you look today, I mean, maybe, High Commissioner, you want to come in on this. I mean, it's much easier to get a visa. You get much longer duration visas. Different categories of people have almost a sort of a faster track regime. Medical visas are important. So I actually think my sense is there's actually been a huge improvement on the legal visa.
You know, the earlier allegation was that it was very difficult to access an Indian visa because the system of getting appointments through an electronic let's say, network was not working the way we wanted it to. So obviously there were some people who got appointments, some people who didn't, and there were some allegations that those who got appointments did it in ways that were not fully above board. What we have tried to do is we've tried to liberalize the system. Also tried to give access to people on walk-in basis, those who have tickets. So today it is very difficult for anyone to say I can't access an Indian visa. Anyone with a ticket to go to India, valid for 3 months by air, train or road, can come to any of our centers and get a visa on the spot. So the Indian visa access problem has been resolved. The advantages of this is, one is that the perception is better, perception of India as a country is better. Secondly, it encourages people-to-people contacts. Thirdly, Bangladeshis, this is perhaps a fact that is not well known, but spend a lot of money in terms of medical, tourism, in terms of sightseeing, whatever else, shopping in India. And I think that is also something that we have to look at as one of the gains of things. And if I can also add also to what Foreign Secretary mentioned about your earlier question, what he said was that the focus of the visit to a large extent was on development cooperation. We are investing a lot in the development of Bangladesh. Obviously, there is a mutuality of benefit in everything we do, but development of Bangladesh itself precludes over the medium to long term the issues that you raised earlier. Thank you.
Please keep your questions to
Yeah.
only one question.
Yes. So Sridhar here from the Asian Age. My question is, were there any informal assurances or talks on the Teesta issue furnished by the West Bengal Chief Minister along with the two Prime Ministers? You mentioned that she attended a lunch and there was a function also before and after that. So were there any informal talks on Teesta between the West Bengal CM and the two PMs? And the PM's resolve that his government would clinch an agreement. What is this confidence based on, considering that the Chief Minister has been quite vocal in opposition to any such agreement?
Look, what happened at the lunch table, I honestly don't know. I was obviously on a different table. So whether there were any conversations there, I'm not in a position to enlighten you. What I can tell you was that the Prime Minister made some remarks which specifically focused on the Teesta. I think all of you heard him. This was in front of the press. So it is for you to draw the right conclusions from that.
Thank you. Prime Minister Hasina, in her statement, said that she raised this issue of trade imbalance and anti-dumping duty on jute. So what assurance she was given, how India is going to address this problem?
Well, I think there were some broad issues. Again, there were some broad trade issues as well as some very specific trade issues. Obviously, those which are very specific we will look into. I think the broader approach really is that if we can improve connectivity, if we can decrease non-tariff barriers, if there's a greater flow of investments, then clearly there would be a greater generation of goods in Bangladesh and a market which is ready and accessible in India. So we are quite sensitive to their concerns in that, and not just sensitive, we are quite prepared to work with them to act in that regard.
Vijay?
Again, sorry.
If I could just add to what Foreign Secretary said. You see, a very important way to reduce trade imbalance is to encourage investments. We have already given full market access, quota-free, duty-free access to our market to Bangladesh. The next best thing is really to encourage investments in each other's country. There's a business event on the 10th not to try and predict outcomes, but we already have in mind that we are going to have another 12 agreements signed on a business-to-business basis. Some of them are also between government companies. So in a certain sense, if you add those 12 agreements, we're talking about 34 agreements on the whole. And we are talking about at least $9 billion worth of investments in each other's countries. So the quantum of investments that we're looking at is quite huge in each other's countries, and this is a very good way to go. I think the economic climate is such that on both sides, that investments can be encouraged and there can be greater flows between our two countries in that manner. So that will also address the issue of imbalances to a large extent.
You referred to terrorism in your briefing, but did you discuss anything about the insurgency, cross-border insurgency, which is troubling us also? And secondly, did you discuss about the Bangladeshi refugees in India? You see, I mean, any reference to that was made or anything was? You're talking about the legal immigration, but what about these illegal immigrations and Bangladeshi refugees in India?
You want me to take multiple questions? Huh? Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, look, we've had a very positive experience in counter-terrorism cooperation with the current government in Bangladesh. And I think the results are there for everybody to see. I mean, clearly the law and order situation in our eastern states and northeastern states is very much better in the last few years. And there has been a appreciation of the importance of such cooperation for both parties very clearly in the relationship. So that has been at different levels subjects of conversation, not just conversations, cooperation as well. So at a sort of summit level, essentially there is a kind of a assessment of, or I would say stock taking is not the right word, maybe something little higher in a sense, and you will see that reflected in the outcome in the joint statement. On the other one, I think in many ways the High Commissioner answered your question. I think there are different ways of dealing with a problem, and among the many ways of that problem is really to encourage employment in Bangladesh and to really spur economic activity there, and I think that remains very much part of our approach.
Ranjit, after, sorry, you go ahead.
मधुरेंद्र सर, न्यूज़ नेशन से। सर, मेरा सवाल भी आतंकवाद को लेकर है कि जो टेरर नेटवर्क है खास तौर पे, जिसका एक रूट बांग्लादेश और इंडिया के बीच भी है, उस टेरर नेटवर्क को ख़त्म करने के लिए या उससे लड़ने के लिए किस तरह के कॉपरेशंस जो हैं वो प्रभावी होंगे? और दूसरा एक जो रूट है खास तौर पे वो फेक करेंसी का रूट भी है, ये माना जाता है, उसको लेकर भी क्या कोई बातचीत हुई?
देखिए, हो सकता है कि हमारे हाई कमिश्नर कुछ ज़्यादा कहना चाहेंगे, पर कुछ चीज़ें जो हैं ये स्पेशलाइज्ड हैं, जैसे आप फेक करेंसी हैं, तो जो लीडरशिप लेवल में लोगों को पता है कि ये माने एक बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है, पर इसके बारे में अगर जो बातें जो होती जो विस्तार में होती हैं वो उनके लेवल पे नहीं होती, उसके लिए अलग अलग मिनिस्ट्रीज़ के ऑफिशियल्स होते हैं. हो सकता है कि इज़ दैट समथिंग यू वांट टू से दैट?
सुरक्षा के तौर से जो कोऑपरेशन है हमारे दोनों देशों के बीच में वो काफ़ी मतलब बढ़ चुकी है. हमारे बीच में काफ़ी कुछ मैकेनिज़म्स हैं जो ये मुद्दे, जो आतंकवाद के मुद्दे हैं, जो फेक इंडियन करेंसी के इश्यूज़ हैं, इस पे स्पेसिफिकली डील कर रहे हैं. तो इस पे हमारा कोऑपरेशन बहुत अच्छा है, बहुत सफल रहा है और मेरे ख्याल से दोनों तरफ से बड़ी अच्छी तरह से कोऑपरेशन हो रही है. तो इतना मैं कहना चाहता हूँ इस पे.
सर मैं ब्रह्म प्रकाश दुबे हूँ जी न्यूज़ से. मेरा सवाल ये है कि बांग्लादेश में खासकर जो माइनॉरिटी है, हिंदू माइनॉरिटी में है, बीते कुछ समय से लगातार अटैक हो रहे हैं और बीते दशक से बांग्लादेश बनने के बाद हिंदुओं की आबादी बहुत ज़्यादा कम हो गई है. क्या ये चर्चा के बीच ये इशू आया है? क्या भारत सरकार ने कोई कंसर्न जताया है, चिंता जाहिर की है इस?
नहीं देखिए, इस पे जो है ये माने आज का मुद्दा नहीं है, ये कुछ समय से चल रहा है और ये अब जो हमारी असेसमेंट ये है कि अभी जो सरकार है ये बांग्लादेश, अगर आप बांग्लादेश की एक किस्म से राजनीतिक एनालिसिस करें तो ये माने ये प्रोग्रेसिव प्लूरलिस्टिक सेक्युलर लिबरल सरकार है। तो इनकी कोशिश तो है कि जहाँ ऐसे जो माइनॉरिटीज़ पे जो अटैक्स होते हैं कि या तो रोकें या इसके खिलाफ कुछ कार्रवाई किया जाए, अगर कुछ होता है तो इसकी इन्वेस्टिगेशन जांच होनी चाहिए। तो अपने साइड से ये पहले भी ये कोई नई बात नहीं है कि इस मीटिंग इस विज़िट के दौरान इस पे बात हो। ये पहले जब हम लोग वहाँ गए हैं तब भी बात हो चुकी है, अलग जो मंत्री के लेवल पे जो मीटिंग हुई हैं तब भी ये मुद्दा उठा है। तो ये एक किस्म से मैं कहूँगा कि ये ऑनगोइंग इशू है और हम तो चाहते हैं कि इस पे जितना कोऑपरेशन हो सके और ऐसे अटैक्स को तो रोकना चाहिए, वो भी मानते हैं कि उनके हित में नहीं है। तो आपको मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा कि जो FICN वाला जो इशू जो था, इस पे एक जॉइंट वर्किंग ग्रुप है और ये वर्किंग ग्रुप कुछ उसकी काफ़ी रेगुलर मीटिंग्स हो रही हैं। FICN के अलावा ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग पर भी वर्किंग ग्रुप है। तो आपने जो माइग्रेशन और रेफ्यूजीज़ की बात जो उठाई थी, तो ये अलग अलग मीटिंग्स होते रहते हैं, ऑफिशियल्स के बीच में होते हैं, अलग मिनिस्ट्रीज़ के बीच में होते हैं, मिनिस्टर्सों के बीच में होते हैं। ये समिट लेवल जो है ये पूरा एक किस्म से ये असेसमेंट का ये अपॉर्चुनिटी है, वही हो रहा है।
Ranjit?
Yeah, under the $500 million line of credit for defense acquisitions, what are these weapon systems or platforms likely to be exported to Bangladesh? Have they indicated any preferences?
No, I don't think we have come to sort of that degree of specificity in our conversations, but we have made a broad point, obviously, that we would be very much guided by their priorities and their requests. So they'll have to, in a sense, look at it from their needs point of view and what the supply possibilities are for us. So we haven't come to that point which you are asking.
Gautam?
Sir, sir, is it audible? Sir, today Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina did mention about two other projects like Padma Ganga Barrage and the river delta management. So what is the response from our side?
You know, on both there have been discussions, both meaning there have been discussions on the Ganges Barrage as well as there have been discussions on a number of other rivers. I, rather than sort of give you a summary position, I would suggest if you could just wait for the joint statement, because both of them are addressed in some detail in the joint statement.
Srinjoy?
So, both Prime Ministers spoke about zero tolerance for terror. You heard what the Prime Minister of India said at Manekshaw Center. Now, all this is being said, is there any joint effort, or I wouldn't say forum, but joint effort by these two countries, India and Bangladesh, as far as this issue is concerned, at a diplomatic level, at any other level? Because without naming Pakistan, Prime Minister of India has virtually pointed at Pakistan, as did Sheikh Hasina in a sense. So is there a diplomatic effort, a special diplomatic effort afoot?
And you want me to answer that without naming anybody? Okay. Look, I'd put it to you this way. See, we are very clear, and so is the Bangladesh government today, that terrorism, different aspects of terrorism, terrorist networks, foreign terrorists, local terrorists, terrorism actually is a threat to each other. And we have cooperated extremely well in dealing with it, in responding to it, which is why you have a very visible improvement in the security situation, as I said, in the east and the northeast. Now, your further observation about the diplomatic convergence on this issue. Yes, I would say if you read the speeches of the Prime Minister, even her officials on different occasions, and you look at the positions that we have taken, there is a very similar thinking at play. I mean, both of us, our thinking is shaped by our experience, and so then you have to ask yourself, what is your experience? What is it which concerns you in terms of the sources of terrorism, the sponsors of terrorism, the networks of terrorism? So I think in the past, we both at a regional level and international level, we have had very positive exchanges of views, sometimes even coordinated positions on such matters, and I can imagine that is something that would continue.
One last question, Dipanjan there.
Sir, two civil nuclear agreements, MOUs were agreed. What would this entail?
The agreements in question were, one was, you have a list, one related to the training that, one is the peaceful uses agreement that we have, and this is something which is a standard. It's a basic foundation agreement that we have with different countries, which is almost, I would say, the enabling step to do nuclear cooperation in different forms, including training, or it could be any other practical activity as well. And the scope of cooperation that this particular agreement envisages includes transfer and exchange of knowledge, supply and manufacture of components for use in nuclear power plants, treatment, manage of radioactive waste, nuclear safety, radiation safety, etc. And it sort of lays out possibilities. It's in that sense a non-specific agreement, but as I said, it's an enabling. If we were to actually do nuclear work with anybody, we would need this as the first step. The second agreement was between our Atomic Energy Regulatory Board and the Bangladeshi Regulatory Board, and the purpose of this is really to facilitate exchange of information and training of personnel, to deal with various aspects of safety and regulatory issues pertaining to operations of nuclear facilities. We've also signed an agreement with between the Global Center for Nuclear Energy Partnership, GCNEP, and the Bangladesh Atomic Energy Commission. And here, this is really focusing on capacity building in Bangladesh, including training of personnel and addressing issues like design principles, construction, quality assurance, etc. And the reason why this is important is that Bangladesh is looking is actually actively working with Russia for a nuclear power project. So I think our cooperation helps them to strengthen their capabilities and skills and evaluation abilities to sort of get the best out of that project. I think these were the three, no? Yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. With this we come to the end of this interaction. I would like to thank the Foreign Secretary, the High Commissioner and Joint Secretary, and of course all of you for being with us here today. Thank you. Have a good day.